Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini,
And I'm Chris Sweet.
and we're all out of sorts today. I don't have headphones on. Chris is on the couch. We are just, or bed.
No, I'm in a bed.
Bed. Chris is on a bed. She's traveling, which just so happens to line up with today's pod.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes. Yes, I
we're,
am in New York right now, and then tomorrow I'll be back in Massachusetts. It is kind of crazy how you can just travel so much state to state here. People were like, "You're going to New York?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's literally right there."
just a hop, skip, and a jump.
It's like right across the pond. I'm like, it's actually a really easy drive too. It's like 3 hours, but you're just on this thing called the Mass Pike. You're just on the Mass Pike for like 3 of those hours. And like it just, well, maybe 2.5, an hour of it spent just getting off an exit. Um, but it's like the easiest drive. It's also really pretty driving through the states here. So I'm like, I don't mind the drive. And also sometimes when you're visiting family, you get this feeling where you're like, 3.5 hours of just alone time feels really nice
Yes.
when
Visiting
you are
family, and you
constantly with someone.
yeah, love them. But I was going to say it can be a lot when you're like constantly with people and you don't get a break unless you like sit. It's like what I've been so thankful for Deacon is I can just go feed
He
him in the
forces
room and
you to go be alone.
I get like just some like, quiet time. But
Yes.
it's always nice to visit, but it's always nice to have like just time to yourself.
Yes. Yeah. So that has been the positive of this trip has been having that drive, and I'll do it again tomorrow. And I'll have my 3.5 hours. I will say, Justin Bieber played at Coachella. So what I did on the way here was I listened to the Coachella set. I just went to the YouTube and I just like found his set and then I just let it play. And I was grooving and driving. I was like, I got front row seat to Coachella here. I'm like, I'm good.
I heard that he just played like what everyone wanted, like they were just requesting songs or something. Is that
No, so he did like a YouTube short. I mean, it was only 20 minutes of it. Everything else was his like new albums, newer songs, but he did like 20 to 30 minutes of like on a computer searching old songs. So he had like Baby, he had like One Less no. Did he do One Less Lonely Girl? I was it One Less Lonely Girl? I think so. Or Favorite Girl, something like that. But he did like a bunch of his stuff. Um, but he did have like the live chat from YouTube, like whatever the streaming was, he had the live chat up, but it's not like he went in and like played requests. He just went in and like did, I'm assuming what his set list was
that
always
makes
supposed to
sense?
be. But it was fun. He just got to like watch little old videos of him, and
Oh my gosh.
then you have, Father Bieber just playing while watching his younger self on the screen. It was actually kind of cute.
That's cool. That
Yeah,
would
I'm
be cool
like,
to see.
I went to Bieber. He was probably one of my first. No, Hannah Montana was my first concert, and then I think Bieber or Taylor Swift was my second. Makes a lot of sense for my addiction with pop culture that those were like my first three concerts in my life. But
It does
I
make
did do
sense.
that on the way here.
Liz McGuire was my first. Well, Hillary Duff.
Yep.
Not Lizzie. I was in the Coliseum actually.
Ooh.
No, I
Wait, were
was
you
not.
really? I was gonna say like, I'm sorry, what?
I was an extra in the movie.
I was about to be like, that's a fun fact you haven't told me.
No, that would be kind of sick though.
That would be sick.
That's gonna be my truth, three truths and a lie. Or two
Ooh, that
truths.
would actually be a really good one. Because you don't hear that ever. People would be like,
Hillary
wait, I
Duff
feel
was
like
my.
that has to be true. I was
It's
in
like
the
so specific.
Coliseum for the Hillary Duff movie.
Yeah. Um. Well, guys, I also feel like I'm operating off one brain cell today. Because I haven't had a second source of caffeine, and also my stomach is like eating itself up. Like it's like really like it's like that. You know how when you have like a stomach ache and there's like a rock in it? Like
Yeah, it just didn't feel good.
there's like a gas or something, and it hasn't happened to me
Yeah.
in so long, and I don't know what it is. So if I just seem different, that's why.
I was gonna say, I also am operating on low just because of travel, and my period started yesterday, and we're experiencing another loss in the family, so my brain's just a little discombobulated.
Yeah,
But we're here, we're
we're showing
checked
up.
in,
We're
we're
here.
clocked in, we're just gonna do our best. And next week's an
Yeah.
exciting week because we have the retreat. It's crazy how like April's literally
Me and
gonna be
Megan were talking
over.
about that yesterday. We were like, I'm sorry, what?
I know. I'm like, oh God, I'm like, that's crazy. So yeah, it's
Betrayed.
just gonna happen fast, really fast.
We're gonna do the dang thing. So,
Hmm.
um, but Chris just finished a whole like sick ass guide for everyone
Hmm.
about travel as a coach. So if you want to just kind of intro it, Chris, we can get to business.
Elsie and I were like, we need to make more freebie, I mean, let's face it, lead magnets. We were like, let's just get some more stuff out there. And some pretty common theme for the both of us going into the rest of the year is that like we both have a ton of travel. And it hit me where I was like looking, you know, when you zoom out on your Google Calendar and it's like the month view and you can kind of see the things that you've highlighted of like blocked dates. I was like going from April to May to June and like there was always this block date. And every block date was me getting on a plane. I was like, okay, every month for the next, what, 8 months that are left in the year at this point, I will be on a plane. And that I will be getting on a plane at some point, whether I'm on a trip for a week or a few days. Like some of my trips are shorter and I'm only gone for like, a few days. Some of them are a little bit crazier. Some of them are like July when I'm going to be in going from Massachusetts to Oregon to New York to Massachusetts. Like everything is so chaotic in my calendar. But it hit me that I'm going to be traveling a lot and you will also be traveling. We actually got to the point this year where Kelsey, I think I had said it to you, Kelsey, where I was like, hey, I think we need like you know how families have, a shared a husband and a wife have a shared calendar of like when their events are, where they need to be. I was like, I feel like you and I need one for our travel because at this point, I don't know when who is going to be gone at what point for what duration. And it would probably help us a ton to just help with responsibilities and help with just like knowing where each of us are. So we ended up doing that. We ended up creating a shared album. And then I was inspired with the conversation of lead magnets to be like, all right, well, let me make something that shows really a full rundown and breakdown. I actually want to continue to add to it. It was hard for me to finish it because I was like, I just kept thinking of more things that go into travel. Because when I first got into business, I mean, all of us got into business for like financial freedom and romanticizing travel and romanticizing so many things. And I remember it was my trip to Bali. I did a lot of travel actually in 2024. Yeah, 2024. I went to Greece. I went to Bali in Thailand. I went to Portugal. I went to Nicaragua, all in a matter of like 5 months. It was like back to back to back stuff. And I remember just like how I went about my trip to Thailand, especially, and so many people being like, how did you travel? How did you manage the business? And there's just sacrifices you have to make with travel. It can't always just be like full leisure and all the stuff, but I think coaches really struggle with how to flex their freedom and their financial capacity that they get to have, but then also still move a needle forward for themselves, not only from a health perspective, but also a business perspective. So I've been on multiple ends of the spectrum of like the first couple of years of business, I didn't take time off. I didn't allow myself that full freedom. And then once I got married in 2022, it was like my first taste of taking 2 weeks off entirely. And I just kind of understood how important it was, but how there's also still needs to be a system and structure to it. And that's why I created the guide and why I figured with me being away and again, travel is just kind of picking up for the both of us throughout the rest of the year that we could both kind of riff on this and talk through it a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's with travel, having the flexibility, like you said, like it's so nice. Like I think I always laugh because like I think when my parents were like, "Oh, you're going off on your own. You're going to be a business owner. Like, what are you? How are you going to do that? You know, yada yada yada." And the main concern was like, "Well, you need to take vacation." Like I remember early on, she's like, "You need to take a vacation. Like you need to be unplugged completely." And I'm like, "Hey, the thing is, like, that's not really a possibility. Like,
Mm-hmm.
truthfully, I'm never going to be fully 100% unplugged. Like, even when I was on maternity leave, I was still in Slack. I was still, messaging you about stuff. Like, I wasn't fully gone. Obviously, there were some tasks that were done, and I could equate that to equivalent.
Like
That's a fun
equivalent?
one. I equate that to vacation. And I was like, hey, like, well, yeah, I don't have the flexibility to just go on an unplugged vacation and take PTO. One, I'm still getting paid while I'm on vacation. Like, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm still, I guess PTO is getting paid on vacation, but I'm still like able to just go and take a random trip and do it. I'm able to leave at we left at 2 p.m. yesterday, right after our coaches meeting, to go meet with a potential nanny.
Mm,
And I was able to do that at 2 p.m. on a Monday because I can. With a work, with a job, you can't do
you
that.
cannot do
But
that.
there's always like two sides to the coin, right? Like, yeah, I have to work a little bit when I'm on trips in some capacity. It also kind of is nice because you have like a recharge in the middle of the day when you're on a trip. Like, hey, I got to get
Hmm.
some things done. Like,
Hmm.
so I will say that is definitely a benefit that I have noticed with travel.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think it adds structure, and I think you also just get a little bit more of a choice in how you want to, like, it's more customizable. You can customize how you want to go about like every trip and everything. Um, I think that a lot of people think of travel and they think of like helping their clients with managing their health. And they're like, well, with coaches and with entrepreneurs, I just see so often that's like they go on a trip and they just ghost their business. They're like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not lifting a single finger. Or they're like doing all the things. They're like doing too much on a trip. They're now like resenting their business because they come out of a trip and they're like, well, all I did was work. And I think there's a very good happy medium in the between of it. And I think it's the same way that we instruct clients on their health that compare to how we instruct coaches to understand how to do their delivery, how to do their business when they are away. You don't have to be completely entirely plugged. You also don't, and really for me, it's like I don't like to be entirely unplugged unless I like absolutely want to and need to. Like for my wedding and honeymoon, I was actually very big on, only because I hadn't taken time off for 2 years, 3 years at that point. I was like, I'm going to take this whole time off. I remember Megan being like, you are taking this whole time off. She was like, I will take care of things. You enjoy yourself. Like, don't worry about anything. And it was great. And now I love that I like get to pick and choose how I want to go about this. For this trip in particular, me being here, it's like I'm still available to clients. I'm just a little like delayed on Slack. Like I have certain touch points on Slack. I check my messages in the morning, I check them in the evening. If I get a midday checkpoint, I will. But then, when I go to Peru, it's like I am going to take entire time off. So I think the first thing you really have to determine when you're trying to decide what the heck you want to do with your trips or travels is like, do you want this to be an entire do nothing trip where it's like you genuinely fully unplug? Or do you want this to be something where it's like you still do something? You're still plugged in some capacity. And if so, what makes the most sense? And I think when you're trying to assess that, you have to look at your KPI goals, you have to look at how the business is operating, you have to look at any projects you have. For us, we have the retreat next week and we have a masterclass next week. We have stuff going on where it's like, yeah, we're not going to be completely unplugged from business. Like we just can't be right now. But here's how we can modify delivery if one of us is away, or how I'm modifying my delivery while I'm away. So you have to first really like pick and choose and sit with it of how you want that to go, and then create little boxes for yourself of how you want client communication to look, how you want check-ins to look, how you want sales to look, how you want project management to look. And then the hardest part that most people have is when they've decided that this is going to be a do something trip is the communication and boundaries you actually have to have with both yourself, but then also the other people you're going to be around too, and making sure that they understand that, hey, you're going to have responsibilities for yourself. For me, when I went to Thailand and Bali, I remember having to tell my friend, like, hey, I'm still going to be working, but I'm also going to try to make this as convenient as possible for like the both of us, because I also didn't want my work to impact her ability to enjoy her trip. So I was waking up at 3:30, 4 in the morning almost every day, or at least 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week. I was like, I'm going to wake up early and do this like 3 to 4 to 5 hour time block where I was just doing deep work first thing in the morning. And it worked out because, I mean, my cousin and I were talking about this actually last night. I was like, it's so nice to be an adult where you're like 9 p.m. hits and you're like, want to just go lay down? Like, want to just like we could go out and go to the bars, but we could also go to bed early and like feel great in the morning. And it was just nice to have that with my friend on this trip, because then because I was waking up so early, we were still going to bed early. And so I was able to have that type of routine, but I communicated it to her, and you just have to decide what that's going to look like.
Exactly. And that's like communicating it with the people you're with. And like, I will say, I'm very thankful that Hayden also has a job where he like essentially works for himself, because
Mm-hmm.
we both understand like at some point on vacation we're just going to have a work block together. And I will like, we're going to Europe in the fall, and when we went the last time in December, we took it purposefully around Christmas, because I was like, okay, perfect, like I can line up the fact that I'm not going to have check-ins around Christmas time. And when we were leaving, I think I worked it out to where like there was like not 2 weeks without check-ins, but I was doing like written check-ins. And at the time I had really severely decreased my roster, so that helped. I can't say I would do that again. But lined up with Christmas too, where I don't have check-ins the week of Christmas. And it was funny because he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna have like a lot of work," and then he ended up being flooded with
Oh,
work just
no.
randomly, which was nice. It was a really
Yeah.
slow year, and we were like December's primarily slow, but it helped me because then I could work also.
Mm,
Like, okay, well, I'm gonna do the thing, but what I did leading up to it, no matter what trip it is, like normally trips line up on the weekends, right? No matter what trip it is, I primarily do my programming in the end of the week, like Thursday through Sunday is typically when I do my clients' programming.
hmm
I'll always complete it like a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead so that all phases are done. For instance, when we're going for 3 weeks in September/October, I plan on doing every client's programming that ends for those 4 weeks. So, like the 3 weeks I'm gone and the week after, so that when I'm, catching up on work or just getting back in the swing of things, I'm not going to have to worry about programming because that's the literal last thing I want to do when I'm coming back from a trip because I want to be focused on programming. And obviously, I also have the plane ride, which I don't depend on going international because I
Dude,
swear
nobody has Wi-Fi
if I
international.
and
Nobody.
I'm American and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
The
trust that at all.
worst thing that ever happened was when I relied on my trip to Bali, my flight from Boston to Bali. Well, actually, it was Boston, Thailand is where we went first. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll work on this 16-hour flight. Didn't have a lick of Wi-Fi. Didn't find out till I was boarding the flight. And then I
They always
immediately
do when
texted
you're bored.
Megan and I said, Megan, I'm about to literally not have Wi-Fi. Can you please go notify all of my clients and let them know that I will figure this out? And we actually had a layover in South Korea. And so it was like a few hours. And I remember I literally have a picture of me sitting on the airport floor, completely jet lagged, Diet Coke in hand, ripping through work on the floor of this like packed Korean, like South Korean airport. And I just remember panicking. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this. So no, I don't rely on international flights anymore. Same as
No,
you. Um, find some things that you
it's
don't need Wi-Fi for.
that happened on my flight to Hawaii in August when
Yes.
I
Oh yeah,
told
you
everyone I
were
was
doing
doing,
check-ins at the airport.
and I was doing them written. I was like, hey, everyone's check-in's going to be written this week. I'm just not going to mess around with Gloom. And I remember getting to the hotel after like a long day of travel and having to message out check-ins, which I also realized like I'm so much rather in the future just send a voice memo. Like I'm never going to do
Voice
written
memos.
check-ins again.
Written check-ins take me forever. I will say I'm doing written check-ins right now, and they are taking me
It
so
just is
long.
like hard. Like I'd rather just send a quick Loom or Zoom
Mm-hmm.
clips. Screw
Yep.
Loom. But I think too, it's getting really structured in your day. The one thing I am looking forward to when we're in um Europe this coming, I have to really hyper plan now because I have a
Yep.
baby.
Yep.
And we obviously want to enjoy things. And so the nice thing with Europe, if you're traveling to Europe, is most countries shut down from like 2 to 6. At least in Italy they did. And I feel like that was kind of the same. Like Paris, it was pretty slow. Um, from like 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Like there's not really much to do. Like you can obviously sightsee and stuff like that, but like after lunch, there's really a break where like there's not even like places for happy hour really, like
Mm-hmm.
very few and far between we found. And so it like built in this time where at 2 p.m. in Europe, it's, 8 hours behind. So it's like what, 8 a.m. That's not right. 6 a.m. People are starting to wake up where we live. And so it was kind of a nice, like, built-in work block for us where we had like a good 3 to 4 hours. Like, Deacon's gonna be able to nap, but also be able to do check-ins like before he wakes up, like planning on just getting up and doing the thing. And so I think it is like, it, I'm not a nightlife person at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, put me in bed by 7 to 8 p.m. on vacation and I'm good. Like, quick dinner, let's go to skedaddle to sleep. You're already so tired. So, it's a nice built-in where it's like, okay, get up early, get a work block in, go enjoy sightseeing, like fully immerse yourself and turn your phone on, do not disturb, like don't check work, sightsee, come back, you can reload, maybe take an hour nap, get to some work, go out again and sightsee, and then go back. And like that's something that we got really good at when we were there. And that's because we decided like it is mostly an enjoy yourself vacation. We did take a full week off. That's what I plan to do with the 3 weeks is take a full week of work off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to be there for 3 weeks. It's not reasonable for me to be like, see you, Chris. I'm going to take 3 weeks off of work. Now, calls may be a little bit more challenging, and I'll have to really
Mm-hmm.
like figure that out and reschedule a lot of my like recurring calls that are one on
Mm-hmm.
one. But it'll all be okay. It's stuff you just have to plan ahead for and also just mentally know like I own a business now. I'm not gonna like for the most part, yes, you can take a week off and things are not going to burn down in a fitness coaching business. I would say any longer than a week and a half, maybe you can stretch 2 weeks. Like, you have to do something. Like, you have to deliver something to clients at that point.
Absolutely. I think there's a give and a take. And you have to realize that you got into a service-based industry. You didn't get into owning a laundromat. You didn't get into, my brother does pest control, and like he has a whole team of people where, if he wants to take off, he has people and he doesn't have to worry about him being the front face. But when you get into the online coaching world, it's like you are a content creator and your business relies on you showing up on social media. And if you suddenly go ghost on that, and then that trickles into your client delivery, and that then trickles into everything else, like you're not going to feel really good. I feel like even getting back into things, like I find that if I take full time off, I sometimes actually feel worse when I get back because I'm like, oh my God, now
Hmm.
I'm just behind. Like I'd almost rather do a little bit each day. But to your point, it's like I think it's healthy to take that week. Like for me, I'll be taking Peru off. I mean, I'm not really gonna have a choice for 6 of the days that we're hiking in the mountains. I'm literally going to be disconnected and unplugged. I'm actually really looking forward to it. But one of the things that I have, one of the tabs in the freebie is running the biz. And number two that I have highlighted is pre-trip planning. And it's saying that, your pre-trip prep is going to determine your stress levels when you get back. So to your point of like, yeah, when I'm gone, I plan to have all my programming is always has to be done ahead of time. I don't want to do a lick of programming when I am traveling. I'm like that just I don't want someone to have to rely on me for that. And I would rather, I know it's in my full capability to get it done beforehand. It's almost like the lowest level thing that I can just be like,
Really.
okay, let me go and get this done. So it's like automating what you can, reviewing your calendars, being realistic with call capacity. When I was in Thailand and Bali, I was the only one obviously taking sales calls. And so I knew during that time that I needed to set availability to take calls. I was still doing lead generation. And so I took multiple calls at like 5 in the morning there just because that was like the best time in the States for me to take the call. And again, there's that give and that take, but I planned in advance. I looked exactly at like my itinerary that we had, and I was like, what days are the best mornings for me to wake up early, get in some calls? Where will we be staying? Does the Airbnb have a space? Like you have to really do that research, but it helps so much because you also still feel like really productive. I remember I closed a pay in full deal. One of the mornings I was on like the patio of our hotel that we were staying at, and I closed a pay in full, and I felt like $1 million all day in Thailand. I was like, this is the best feeling ever. I was like, I want to close 12 more. I'm like, I want to take more sales calls on vacation. You just get that high, but you don't expect it until you're like kind of making that sacrifice. And then I think too, making a list of like truly what the priorities are before you're going so that you know when you get back, like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like, here is exactly it. Don't make everything a priority in business. Not everything is going to like need that urgency. And that can be the hardest to determine when you're getting back. So you do feel a little frazzled, but not everything needs the same amount of energy and attention. You really have to be realistic with like what does, and that's going to save your sanity a bit when you are coming back from trips.
Yeah, like, please don't plan a launch while you're on a trip.
Kelsey and I
I
made
like
that mistake.
I like already think forward to like, okay, me being gone from mid-September to early October. I'm like, cool, then our cohort probably has to launch prior to me leaving.
Hmm.
Which means, I have to figure out, luckily we do biweekly calls, so I have to figure out what that cadence looks like and we get to launch at the
Hmm.
perfect time. But that way we're like post-launch, and for me, it's at least for us, it's great because while Chris is in Peru, like I'm gonna cover her stuff
Hmm.
while I'm in, Europe. For some of the time, she'll cover my stuff, and like it is nice to have that capacity and have that opportunity. 'Cause I know not everyone has it, but I think too, it's like understanding if you are a solopreneur, more than likely, like when you were in Asia, obviously, like you had a team. So like when you have a team, you kind of have to say, okay, well, I have to do this for the betterment of the team. I have to take the sales call. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to, do my DMs. Like you probably do need to work some of the time if you're, again, going on a long trip. Take the week off if you need it. But if you're a solopreneur, honestly, it was a vibe when I was in Europe. I was like, I'm not taking
Dude,
a
I
sales call.
freaking,
I'm not sending a DM. I'm
yeah.
not doing anything because I'm not going to take on a new client while I'm here. Also, it was the holidays. No one wanted to start doing
Yes.
anything. But I think it's like being a solopreneur, it's like allowing yourself to just enjoy that time,
Hmm.
have some peace in your life, unless you're traveling like once a month for multiple weeks at a time, like take the time off. It's
And
you don't, your
something,
clients are not going to be mad. And if you're worried about your clients being mad, that's a reflection on your clients or maybe your
yes,
mentality. Maybe you
yes.
are a little bit too obsessed.
Also, something I need to remind myself is the amount of like nomadic entrepreneurial people that exist. And I'm like, there are so many people that live around the entire world. A friend of mine, she is currently traveling like for a whole year. Her and her boyfriend just decided they were like, let's just go travel Europe, go to Africa, go to Asia, like do all this stuff. But they actually both work full-time remote jobs. So they're working, I think East Coast hours is what they do. But basically they have their fun, they play during the day, and then at night, like around dinner time or whatever, she's like, we lock in, we do our 6 to 8 hours of work we have to do. And she's like, but that's what we do. We get to live this life during the day and then have this at night. And like, that's, the trade off of it. Um, Something that I also wrote in the freebie was talking about like minimum viable business. So it's almost like the minimum effective dose method when we think of like fitness sometimes. It's that towards your business. It's like, what is just the minimum viable leadership and energy that you need to put towards your business, and it's for a week. It's for 1 week that you're doing the minimum. And that when again, comparing it to fitness, it's like you are the reflection of what you do most of the time, not some of the time. So if most of the time you are doing your shit, you're on top of your cadences, you're doing your reps, you're doing your work, it's okay if some of the time you take time off work. It's okay if some of the time you're not doing check ins or some of the time you're not as available to your clients. And how delivery should be structured is looking at, again, check-in modality. Is it more feasible for you to do a voice memo instead of a Loom, or a written check-in? As much as it sucks, but like if you are on a plane with Wi-Fi, written check-ins are nice to do. They're like just cruise through, gets the flights go by so fast. They are like great. Communication. Do you just like, I told clients when I was here, I was like, hey, I'm still going to be available. I'm still going to respond to you within 24 hours, but just know like it's not going to be this like 3 touch point per day type of thing. Like I'm kind of all over the place. I'm probably going to check my phone a couple times a day and I'll get back to you. But also if you send me a more in-depth message that requires me to like open a link, open a document, sit down, like it might take me longer because I'm just on a I'm on a very unpredictable schedule right now at the mercy of just everyone else. So that's been the hardest of this trip, but it's like, just what is the minimum effective dose that you can give your clients or communicate to your clients to where they just know what to understand and literally what to expect based on it. And I think communication is the main thing. I mean, don't just get up and be like, hey guys, I'm going to go away for 2 weeks tomorrow, like see you later. One of my favorite things to do is just giving clients a 2 week plan. Like give a client a 2 week run through of here's your macros or here's your game plan or here's whatever. I'm going to be doing that for Peru. Just here's your 2 weeks. You don't have to check in next week. We're going to skip a week of check ins. If you need anything, you can still message me. I will get back to you if you think refinements need to be made. But realistically, people's protocols don't need to be changed every week, anyways. So giving a little bit of that self leadership to clients, I think, is helpful for them too.
Yeah, and I think this also all boils down to like, how are you actually delivering to your clients regularly? I'm very clear with clients, like, you can message me as much as you want.
Mm-hmm.
However, I want you to be a self-starter. And I think for a lot of people, and given like Chris and I are a little bit different now, but we've both coached lifestyle clients before. We coach coaches now. And so now there are certain cases where like our coaches do genuinely like message us frequently. And that's okay, because we're also helping them with coaching stuff and we're helping them with their own nutrition and fitness. But if you're coaching lifestyle clients, you should be teaching them how to be self starters. You should be teaching them to not rely on you constantly. I know a lot of coaches will be like, hey, if you go out to dinner, send me the menu and I'll tell you what you can eat. It's like, no, teach your clients that, like educate them on that so that when push comes to shove and when you do want to take a week off, your clients aren't left panicking. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing the reason that a lot of coaches are afraid to take time off completely is it's because they've allowed their clients to hyper rely on them. And that's a lot of like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
never feel stressed traveling. I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it within the 24-hour mark. Or if I let them know ahead of time, like, hey, just so you guys know, I'm going to be in a different time zone. Depending on when you message me, it may be 48 hours, but I
I
promise I will
was
get back to you.
I was so honest with my clients when I was going to Thailand. I was like, listen, guys, I'm going to be 13 hours ahead of you. I was like, if you're messaging me at these random times, there is a chance that I am just now falling asleep and you're not going to hear back from me for a while. Especially if that's the weekend. If it was like the weekend and it was already like Friday, like Friday night in Thailand, I was like, okay, I'm not responding to messages. Like now this is my like kind of few days off for the weekend. So I was just very honest with clients and nothing, we're not a 911 service. Like nothing should be that urgent. The amount of coaches that are like, well, I really pride myself in my responsiveness to clients and this and this and this. I'm like, but what does that say about like sustainability and longevity? Like, why are you becoming an emergency service? You're not.
And it goes back to two like short trips, right? Like working trips. Whenever we go home, we don't live by family. Our family lives in Washington and Oregon. So there's frequent times where we'll travel from Arizona to Washington and Oregon. And whether or not I've had a child, like even pre-child, I would wake up at 5 a.m. or before. Like if I knew, I was like, you know what, I want to spend time with my family. We don't get to see each other all the time. So I have to get up at the butt crack of dawn and do my check-ins. I was always nervous I was going to wake someone up. So like at my parents' house, they have a treadmill in the garage. I would literally go out and just walk on the treadmill. There's
Mm-hmm.
been times at like my husband's family's house where either Kaden gets up early and we're both up and we're working, or I've literally like gone out into their garage and done check-ins. It's not warm, but I figured out a way to do it because I'm like, I want to be present with family and I don't want to feel like I'm on my laptop. So I've definitely had my fair share of like sending messages at weird places. And to Chris's point too, like what she's doing right now is like, I don't check my messages all the time. I used to actually not have the Everfit app on my phone or the Trainers app on my phone. So I literally could only answer messages on my computer or yeah, on my computer. I do now because it's easier, but I think it's too just being willing to have some sacrifice when you are visiting family, because you can't, you're not going to take off every single time that you travel if you travel frequent. Like we travel pretty often that there's no way I would be able to take off every trip, but I do allow for like typically it's 3 to 4 weeks where I don't do check-ins a year. One of them is 4th of July week because we always have our like birthday and anniversary trip. So that's one week. I just always tell my clients like there's no check-in this week. And then also Christmas. So we don't do check-ins. So that's always one. And then one other vacation where I choose one week you don't have check-ins. That may mean that there's some weeks of check-ins where you're getting a voice memo or a written check-in from me. But there is like 3 to 4 weeks a year where I'm taking full time off of check-ins. And I think you need that as a coach. Like you need time to step back and
100%.
like take a little break.
I mean, it's yeah, the same way everybody does. And I think that's the biggest thing when coaches get stuck and they're like, oh, well, what do my clients think? I'm like, but your clients probably value their time off. And for what reason are your clients taking time off? To recharge, to relax, to like need a break, to get a breather so that they're not burnt out of their work. And as coaches, while yes, we run our own businesses, we are no exception to burnout. We are no exception to needing a reset, not because we don't love our work, but because when we are giving, 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 and very available to people, we need that time. Like again, with my 3.5 hour drive, I'm like, it's the same with all this time I'm spending with my family. I just need 3.5 hours to just be in a car by myself and not talk to anybody. And so I think you just have to have that mindset towards it. And really just realizing that if you do want to travel, you have to make it more realistic. You have to be able to have boundaries. Like you can't just be like, I don't know, I think of my college mindset where I thought I was like, invincible and I was like, fuck it mindset to everything I did. I'm like, that's not life. That's not the real world. And when you start running a business, it's like, I always think of Kim K where it's like, nobody wants to work these days. You have to work. You literally have to work. Like you have to be willing to take the trips and do the thing. And the great part about me being with my cousin is she owns her own spa. And so even yesterday, like her and I both were on the couch for a few hours. She was doing like marketing stuff for the spa and I was able to do that. And I just think like communication goes a really long way and just realizing the boundaries you have to have. And it's trial and error and that's okay. But I'm the same way. Like, I mean, literally we follow the same system of taking those dates off. It's like, I think 2 weeks of like PTO where you take that towards vacations and then you have normal holidays and stuff is an important system to have. Like nobody needs check-ins during Christmas. No one give them a 2 week run through, a 2 week game plan, be available on Messenger. You could be available if you want them. But nothing really has to be tweaked and changed that significantly. I was also going to add actually to what you were saying earlier is just like figure out when the deep work time needs to be. Like when you are working, no distractions, no phone, no scrolling, no text messages, no nothing. Like you are just in your business for that time. For me, that was like that 4 to 5 hour morning block I had in Thailand and Bali of just like working. My mom would sleep. My mom's a sleeper in her. She doesn't. She could sleep all day. So when I was in Greece with her, it was perfect because I was the same way. I was like, I just wake up at the ass crack of dawn, do my work, and like get my shit done. But my favorite part is just like planes, like on planes, on travel days. If you do have the ability to work, just do your deep work on the plane, like just, or do it at the airport. Get to the airport a few hours early. I've been doing that more recently where it's like I actually get there earlier than I need to because I can just sit down, put my headphones on, crank out messages, crank out the shit I need to do, and then I'm fine getting onto the plane.
Yeah. I think it's the plane work. Oh, such a vibe. Like
Such a vibe.
getting work done on a plane. So productive. It's just, I zone in.
I
Same with
love
an
it.
airport. If you can get lounge access, even better. To just go into the lounge. And
Listen, Kelsey, not all of us get lounge access, okay?
I used to have status with Alaska, and I got lounge access, and it was the best thing ever. It was like when I was getting married, and we were doing a ton of different trips, and COVID happened, so we got like extended for like 2 years. It was the best time. I don't regularly have. Well, actually, Kaden does have the credit
Well, now
card
you
to.
do. You got your plug.
That lounge was really chaotic, though. I don't think I
I
could
didn't
get
like
work
that.
done in that
I wouldn't
lounge.
work at that lounge. No.
They're
Listen,
just really
the
small.
lounge I want to make my way to is the Delta Lounge. You can't say I can't. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to just buy the one-time annual like membership thing. I'm like, it's worth it for the amount of times I fly. I would use that lounge every time.
If you're working in it, is it a write-off?
I think so. What's the trick to scaling a business? Delta Lounge.
You're like, I don't even have a flight. I just go to the lounge.
I just go to lounge, just check on in. But yeah, I think you just have to find the time and the place. Um, I will say, grab at this guide because it's pretty dense and we could talk on definitely a lot more, I feel like, structure behind it. But um, just to give some normalcy to working while you're traveling, I think is important. And it's okay if you're not with a bunch of entrepreneurs, if your family and friends aren't 100% in it. Regardless, you have to have your standard and you have to have that discipline and just show up for it and normalize it a little bit more because I think you'll also inspire other people.
Definitely pick up the guide because we're not going to give away all the tidbits in here. You got to get the guide.
This is an
So,
audiobook.
I'm not reading off the guide for you. You have to read it off yourself. Well, we dropped the guide in the bio, so make sure to go pick it up. Otherwise,
We'll see
I
you in
think
the
that's all we
next
got
one.
for today. We did kind of a little shorty podcast.
Shorty chit chat.
Even those
Jotty.
37
Jotty.
minutes. A little shoddy. All right,
Thanks for
well,
listening,
guys,
guys. We'll see you in the next one.
see ya in the next one.
Bye, friends.
Bye.